Hi, good evening, everyone, and welcome to this week's Lion Wrestling Promotions podcast. Sorry, I'm just ripping my notes up now. So tonight, as you are all aware, I have got Brad O'Brien joining me in the studio. So Brad is the King of the Castle winner 2022, and he was the number one contender for the LWP Heavyweight Championship. So I think we should not let me waffle on it anymore, and we should bring him in. Let's get him in the studio.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, not bad. You?
Yeah, I'm good. Minus the obvious breaking news that came out recently, but I'm sure we'll go on to talk about that.
We will. I've left that in further down. I mean, I always like to go right back to the very beginning because this is all about getting to know the wrestler. Yes, you all have your characters, but behind the characters that you come out as, you are all people, right?
Yeah, I suppose you can say that. Not normal people, not regular people.
Sort of. Who wants to be regular anyway?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, so especially when I'm wearing a shirt like this, how can you be regular?
This is it. This is it. You're going to turn heads wherever you go, aren't you?
Oh, die trying.
So let's go right back to the very, very, very beginning. So how old was you when you actually started wrestling?
Okay, so being from Stansted in Essex, I started with a nearby company in towards like Harlow way, so not too far from me. But from the very beginning, from when I was 4 or 5 years old, I saw WWF for the first time, and I was absolutely hooked. Playing the old PlayStation games, watching it on Sky One and Sky Sports, and I just absolutely fell in love for life. From the age of 10, that's when I started looking for training schools, and as I said, I found one in Harlow. That was a bit short-lived. There were, personal issues behind the scenes. So then I moved to one in Colchester, and which led me to end up in Norwich, where I've been ever since 2010. So I started there at the age of 14, and now I'm 27 and a lot more beaten up for it.
And a coach as well. You are coaching as well now.
I am, yeah. I'm assisting, I'm coaching, and yeah, it's just always been my passion. It's always been a huge part of my life.
How does that feel? Because ultimately, you are literally living your dream, right?
I'm doing my very best to. I mean, it's always a work-life wrestling balance. And there's stresses with all kinds of work, and it's like the toll that wrestling takes on your body is really understated. I mean, you can say this and that about the characters and the pageantry of it, but really when it comes down to it, every time you take a simple move such as a scoop slam or power slam, you are taking minutes, if not hours, off your life. And absolutely, sometimes even more.
I mean, when I'm sat watching, I see the lands and instantly I'm like, that's gotta hurt.
Yeah,
that has got to hurt. There's no way on this earth that you're gonna be unscathed every match. It's mission impossible, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, foot later on, but we're already touching on it, so it's pointless beating around the bush. So you was the number one contender for the LWP Heavyweight Championship this coming Saturday.
Yeah.
The 13th of May. Unfortunately, that's not going to be happening now, is it?
No, it's not. It's not. At least not right now. Not this Saturday. And all I can say is I'm very grateful for LWP giving me the opportunity after I won the King of the Castle. And I mean, gutted isn't even the words. We've been having all this build up, and I've been more excited than ever to be a part of another LWP show. And not only that, but to finally get my hands on a World Heavyweight Championship, which I've never done in my 14 years. And yeah, I can't describe how gutted I am, because
So
I've worked so hard for it. And well, I mean, would you like me to go through what exactly happened?
Because we was talking before we went live, obviously, and the first thing I said to you was, how are you? What on earth happened? And I think there is going to be people that are watching tonight that are going to want to know what you've done. We obviously know that you've got a broken foot because that's been announced. But yeah, how did it happen?
So long story short, well, it's going to be a bit of a long story anyway, but I was in a light heavyweight championship contest, and you know, us light heavyweights tend to be daredevils. So as I went to dive out the ring and get the advantage, I completely screwed myself over. I really did. Time and time again, I've landed on my feet thousands of times, probably at least hundreds. And this time, I guess it was just breaking point.
Quite literally.
Yeah, it just got tipped over the edge. Sunday, I was really hoping it would be a little bit healed. I knew it wouldn't be great, but I was just hoping, you know, this is just a bit of swelling. This could be tendons, muscles, whatever. So I got it looked at. I went up to A&E as I was advised, and pretty much they gave me the X-rays. They said this angle looks fine, this angle looks fine, ankle's fine, foot's fine, everything's fine. So I thought I'd take it easy. I would drive home from Norwich to Stansted, and just rest, ice, all of that good stuff. And then I received a call from the same A&E, and they said, after further review of your X-rays, we can actually now confirm that you do have a crack on your heel. And stupid me, yesterday I was walking about thinking it was muscular pain, and always for muscular pain you're advised to walk about on it, keep it moving, don't let it stiffen up. But yeah, it's practically the opposite for bone. So yeah, unfortunately it looks like I'm out. Today. Sorry, what was that?
Sorry, I think my internet might be having a bit of a worry. Just with.
It's all right.
Just checking. No, it's saying. So you was walking about on it today.
I was doing my best to walk about on it yesterday, despite the pain. But I've always had quite a high pain threshold. You know, even before wrestling, like. Once I cracked my wrist bone, and the nurse asked me to give her an arm wrestle because she didn't believe it was broken. But yeah, it was. But yeah, I was walking about on it yesterday, or at least trying, but something was definitely up. But I just thought it was bad muscular pain or something like that. But yeah, obviously it turned out to be a broken heel. And that means
absolutely.
Yeah, and that means for the moment I am in one of those big moon boots, those big hefty moon boots, as I like to call them, and on crutches. So that's going to be fun for at least 6 weeks now. Oh, but you know, for the moment I'm resting. Yeah.
like we all know how much you wanted this shot at the title. You know, it's been in the pipeline for a while now. Everything was going according to plan, but this is the thing with wrestling, isn't it? It takes one thing, one simple thing, and that is it. You're off your feet then.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking with LWP management, and they put it perfectly. It's like a boxer expecting not to be punched in the face. You know, you can't go through wrestling unscathed, especially after all these years. Parts start seizing up, and you know you're not a spring chicken like you used to be. Hey,
Brad, how old are you? 24
27.
or
Yeah,
27?
yeah,
Yeah, you're getting
27.
really
But
old now.
I did start at 13 though, so
Yeah.
I think you could probably double the age of how my body's feeling right now.
It must take it out on you. And I say this to everybody, like, because the stamina and the fitness levels that you guys need to have is phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the gym at least 5 times a week.
Not now.
I, yeah, I mean, I struggle to give myself rest sometimes, and yeah, it's difficult. But when you've got that goal in mind, it's so much simpler.
I can't believe you've broken your heel. I cannot believe we're not going to be seeing you on Saturday night.
Yeah, I mean, uh, yeah, gutted isn't the word for it.
I don't think
It
this will be
really
the
isn't.
end. I don't think this
But
will be the end, though. I think, obviously, I don't know what I know if anything's been announced. Now, Bobby Salzar has popped onto the chat room, and he has said, "Is it a bad time to say that Marco's opponent is going to be Arcadius?" So I don't know if that's been announced or something. I've not seen anything, but whoever takes on Arcadius for the championship, I'm sure that you're, as soon as you're able to, I don't think you're going to be that far behind before you're back and saying, I want what's mine or what should be mine.
you know, I understand in the time that I'm going to be out, there are going to be people trying to get up that ladder and people trying to rise above me. But I mean, I didn't win the King of the Castle for nothing. So as soon as I'm back, as soon as I'm healthy, I'm coming for that championship. No
You are
matter who I
happy.
have to go through, I will start from the bottom and work my way up because that championship is mine.
I mean, ultimately, you are still King of the Castle champion, so you've already you've not dropped any lower. Do you know what I mean? You are still where you were. We just need
Yeah,
another shot at the title, don't we?
yeah, that's right. I've still got the trophy here. I'm not going to get up right now because
Yeah,
Jesus,
don't you?
by the end of this moon boot coming off, I mean my other leg is going to be so muscular.
Like Popeye on one side.
Yeah, yeah, going to be a bit lopsided.
Oh, honestly. So, when sorry, I've lost my train of thought. Right, let's go back to where we was because we've jumped a bit. We've gone a bit further on
Sure.
than initially I wanted to, but never mind. Don't worry about that. So family support. Obviously, you are now injured. Your family, I'm sure, absolutely 100% back your decision to be a wrestler and encourage you to do whatever you want to do. But how are they when you become injured? Do they then become worried?
Uh, I mean, as I say, it's to an extent it's expected now. I don't get sympathy as much as I used to. You know, I always have the love, support, and help from my family, which I really appreciate and you know love them for. My wife, who has to put up with so much of my whining, and you know, I can't, mainly not being able to be in the ring related. Um, but you know, she's run out of sympathy for me because at the end of the day, I choose to do this. I do this to myself. I make these risky decisions. So I mean, it just comes with the territory. Injuries happen, unfortunately, and for a while, it's taken a lot for me to accept, and having to inform LWP management of not being able to be there this Saturday night. That was one of the hardest calls I've ever had to make, and if only it was just muscular pain and a bit of swelling, then there would have possibly been a chance that I could go through with it. But if I faced the Man Mountain Arcadius with a broken heel, it's already a foregone conclusion. You
haven't just got the broken heel to contend with. You've got the moon boot and the crutches as well. Now, a part of me would think it would be absolutely hilarious to try and see you wrestle with your crutches and your moon boot, but practically it's not going to happen. Arcadius is watching with us this evening, so good evening, Arcadius.
Hey,
Bless
big man.
him. I bet he's as gutted as you are, though, to be fair.
I gotta give it to him. I was really up for the challenge this weekend. I really was, and give all the respect in the world to him. But as I said in my promo, I've already beaten him up here. I've been doing this long enough, and I know what it takes to be a champion.
Oh, Arcadius needs to keep hold of this belt, doesn't he?
I'd love to see him try.
So when you had your very first ever professional match, obviously you started your training at 13.
Yeah.
Been ongoing ever since. So when you first started and you had your very first ever professional match, can you remember that?
Yeah, I was. My first match was a Rumble match, so multi-man, over the top rope elimination, sort of battle royal. I remember that I was 15. I was 15. It was it was September 2010. That was in Great Yarmouth. Obviously a losing effort. I mean, the size of me back then, Jesus Christ, can't explain it. I'm not tall now, but Jesus, the little scrawny bugger in the pleather shorts. If only he knew where he would be today.
Arcadius has just popped a message in for you.
All right.
He has said, "Hey, little man, sorry to hear about your ankle. I hope you have a speedy recovery, and I'll be waiting for your return."
Okay. All right. Thank you, big man. Thank you, big man.
So you was a lot littler.
Yeah, I was a lot littler. Genetics aren't on my side in terms of the vertically challenged that is my family. But through constantly going to the gym, through constantly working out, I've just had to be bigger in other ways, or at least do my damnedest to try. And throughout 2020, throughout lockdown, I actually got a shoulder injury. I got surgery on that, which COVID sort of delayed as well. But once I came back, I knew I had to get in the best shape of my life. And I did. And that allowed me to, well, number one, get so far in the initial King of the Castle tournament. Ironically, I was defeated by Arcadius in that second round match. But right now it's a new Brad O'Brien. It is a new Brad O'Brien. And I believe every time I get knocked down, I rise up so much better in the end. So I learn new lessons.
Are you a bit like a phoenix?
Yeah, I would say so. I'm more like a cat. I've got so many more lives left in me.
Well, to be fair, I mean, you are doing incredibly well, really well. In your career, you have held a number of title championships, haven't you? Titles. What is it that you've had up to now?
So my first championship was an academy championship. You know, that's typically a new trainee's sort of first championship. That's their foot in the door onto shows and to get on that ladder, so to speak. I've had academy championships. I've had British light heavyweight championships, open light heavyweight championships, world light heavyweight championships, as well as a European championship, King of the Castle, King of the Ring, you name it. I've done it, apart from the heavyweight championship.
It will come. You will get a shot at that. I'm sure you will. Without a doubt, I'm sure you will. So don't worry. Yeah, it's been postponed. But I'm sure when I've spoke to Aaron before, I'm sure he had to postpone one of his matches previously because of an injury. So, you know, it happens. Like you say, you know, you can't expect to go into the ring and not walk out with any injuries whatsoever. It's just unfortunate that this has happened.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's just wrestling is a very savage animal. There's always somebody looking to stab you in the back. Always someone looking to rise above you, to be the best. Because why would you be in this industry if you didn't want to be the best? You know, everyone wants to grasp that gold ring.
I mean, I think I'm the best at what I do.
Yeah,
but
exactly,
then
that's the type of
ring. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't try and enter the ring. Hell no.
Yeah, but that's the attitude you gotta go with.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. Get where you're coming from with that. You have, if you're a defeatist, you're never going to come out on top. So you have to keep pushing, which is exactly what I've seen you do. Do you know what I mean? That you really do push, and you push yourself to your limits as well in that ring.
Yeah, big time. To my detriment this time. But you know, when I'm in the ring with Arcadius, I'm gonna give it my all. I really am. It is a new Brad O'Brien.
Well, actually, Claire, Arcadius's wife, Mrs. Arcadius, is in the chat room, and she has just said she was actually looking forward to watching you getting your ass kicked.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, where's your wife? Is she going to jump on the chat now, and are they going to have a wife off?
Oh, I doubt it. I'm not going to go get her now. I'm already dealing with one fight. I'm not going to go with another, especially fiery Latino. I can't deal with that right now.
Oh, bless you. Right, so let's move back onto your history.
No. But first of all, I'm not going to let that kicked ass comment fly by. You see, he may be a big man, but I am so much smarter, and I am so much more clever. I'm so much faster. And when I'm back, I am going to kick his ass. You're damn straight.
It was a match that I was actually really looking forward to, actually, in all fairness. But the hardest thing is when it's two wrestlers that you get on with and you really do like and respect as wrestlers, it's hard choosing a side. Like, I would have been sat on the fence. I would have been like, I don't know who to cheer for. It would have been hard.
I get you.
And I've got a little bit of respite, actually. I'm glad I don't actually have to deal with that right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, there's a reason Arcadius is the world champion. You know, there are reasons. I'm not going to put him down because I don't have much ammo in that. I don't have a dog in that fight. He is the champion for a reason. But I'm just going to show him better.
He works hard to get there. I'll give him that. Like the match because it was C.W. Davis when he took the title belt. That was one hell of a match. I'm not going to lie. So, you know, but like you say, every dog has its day, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I will have mine sooner rather than later. So
let's go back to your wrestling career. I keep digressing, and it's just because we're all so gutted that you're not going to be here, I suppose, on Saturday. So, you know, it is going to keep popping up, isn't it? But it's not just the UK that you've wrestled either, is it?
No, I have had a few trips to Germany. I've been Wales and Scotland. traveled all over. I would like to go to Spain. I would love to go to Japan, Mexico. The biggest countries in the world for wrestling. I've just recently visited Mexico, and that was sort of honeymoon trip. But I made sure to get everything with a lucha mask on. But yeah, someday I would like to be in CMLL or AAA. I'd love to be in the American companies, Japanese. I just want to wrestle everywhere and anywhere.
I mean, to be fair, you're getting there. You are starting to venture out of the UK. As you say, you've been to Germany a few times now. So when you are outside of the UK, because when you're wrestling, and it's mainly one location, you tend to have your fans that come and follow you. Yeah. Do you get that?
I mean, it's not only sort of towards East Anglia way, but it's also towards London, to Cambridge, to even the north at times. I've wrestled in Sheffield, in Leeds. It's all about the place. So I do have a bit of a following around Essex as well. And
do your fans follow you wherever you go? If you're in the UK, obviously, if you're out of the UK, sometimes it's more difficult. But do your own fans follow you around?
Yeah, I would say so. And it's just the close sort of relationships that I've built with certain companies here in Essex, towards London, and of course LWP. And yeah, it's just about making those connections.
And it pays off. It obviously pays off because you are doing extremely well in your career.
Yeah.
Do you notice the difference between the fans? Like when you go off to Germany and you're coming back here to the UK, do you notice any difference at all? Or is it everybody is just there for the same reason and they pick and choose who they like on the day?
I mean, it differs really, because in certain venues you can have more of a family, wholesome, more family friendly orientated crowd, who are there for all of the cheesy mischief and all of the characters, and just the utter chaos of it, really. And then, say in Germany, you've got the more adult fans who are a bit more bloodthirsty. They want more violence. They want you to hurt.
Have I lost you?
No, I'm still here. Yeah, no.
I was like, no.
No. You've got different types of fans. You got sort of indie fans who, understand the ins and outs of the business a little more. Some who make assumptions. And then you got the family orientated, and you really want to inspire those kids and give their families a great time.
Which do you
whether
prefer?
They love you or hate you.
Which do you prefer? Do you prefer like the family orientated for that reason, because you are giving little kids a look at what could be?
Yeah, I mean, I very much enjoy that. I mean, because whether I'm the bad guy or the good guy, I love them booing me, because they're going to make the good guy a star. But at the same time, when I'm that star, it feels pretty good. It feels pretty amazing, and it feels nice to keep wrestling alive. Because I just think back to when I was 4 or 5 years old and looking up to my heroes, and it's just made me want more. It's made me want to look back through the 70s, the 80s, the old World of Sport era, back in the 80s with the AWA, all of the American territories. And I'm a student of the game. Like I've done my research. I look at what makes wrestling special and what makes it beautiful in a way.
It can look very beautiful.
I know.
It can also look very harsh. Like you say, sometimes there is bloodshed.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
with that
of course.
in mind, would you ever consider doing death matches?
Deathmatch wrestling. I mean, I've done weapon matches in the past. I've done plenty of those. They hurt like hell. Deathmatch is a whole different kind of animal. It's something I believe I'd try, but it's something I don't believe would be my style. Just because wrestling hurts enough as it is. Wrestling takes years off your life as it is. I don't want to accelerate that any more than I need to. Yeah. I'd rather people remember me for being the king of couture, for being the British beefcake, for being the handsome devil, rather than me carrying weapons and, you know, trying to slaughter my opponent. You know, I want them to remember me. I don't want them to remember my moves, if that makes sense.
Where did the King of Couture come from?
So it's a weird one, because usually when people become wrestlers, they sort of turn their own personality, you know, up to 11. With me, I find that the King of Couture is more who I want to be, because in the past I've had real insecurities. I've had issues with the way I look. I've had obsessions with the way my body looks and how I feel about myself, and I've always judged myself probably way more than anyone else. And I'm my own biggest critic, even when it comes to wrestling. So, you know, it's quite easy for me to get fixated on my appearance, which is kind of where the King of Couture came from, because he is obsessed. I am obsessed. I need to look in that mirror. I need to see how I'm looking. I need to make sure a hair isn't out of place. And so it's kind of my worst features coming to life and then turning it up to 11. So it is a part of me. It's not completely who I am, but I can be a bit self-indulgent to my detriment once again.
Can't we all at some point or another?
Yeah, but you know, I love standing out. I love being different. Look what I'm wearing. Like, who in the right mind would wear this other than me?
My answer was going to be you, but you've taken that away from me, so now I'm already stumped.
Sorry, I'm just too unique.
Who was that character off Benidorm, the hairdresser? Because he would have wore it.
Oh God, I'm not one for Benidorm. I do.
But that one character sticks out for me. I'm hoping somebody will pop it in the chat for me.
Right, yeah.
It just sticks out, and the shirt, he would have worn something like that. So yeah, there you go.
I get you. Yeah.
Well, at least now I know where the King of Couture came from, because I did wonder what it was all about.
Yeah, a lot of people just look at me. Well, I don't know for sure if they look at me and think, "Oh, what an arrogant pretty boy," you know, sort of stuff. But really, it's like, in the past, I was never sort of a lady charmer or anything like that, but I've always wanted to be. You know, I
don't look at you. Even when I first met you, I did not look at you and go, "Look at him, he loves himself." I didn't. But then the first time I actually spoke to you properly, you was backstage waiting to go out, and you were psyching yourself up.
Yeah.
So it's like, I see a different side to you then. So yeah, I didn't. My first impressions wasn't, "Oh, look at him, he's arrogant." Because if it had been, I'd have probably said to you, "God, you're dead arrogant." but I didn't get that at all.
Yeah, it's a lot of my worst features, but through being the King of Couture, I find myself looking in the mirror all the time. Like, reflections in windows, I'm always checking myself out. I've got to be the King of Couture. The King of Couture has sort of morphed into who I am to an extent.
You've got to believe it to be it, right?
Exactly. And instead of me, instead of me putting on a character, I've become that character, so to speak. So yeah, it's a weird one.
So can you tell me your most memorable match to date? Obviously take your foot out, because that's going to be memorable now, but for the wrong reason. So let's take that one out.
Yeah,
Your
yeah,
best one.
no problem with that. But yeah, I'd have to put it down to, I mean, I've had 101 matches with Peter Nixon, and uh, we have a huge storied rivalry. We have a huge backstory. We used to travel together. We used to live together in Cambridge. We've been two peas in a pod. But our rivalry in wrestling, I've never had chemistry with anyone more than I have with him. And just recently, for DOA, the company, in Great Yarmouth, I faced him in his very last match because he was giving it in. He was getting more injured. I can relate. He was getting more and more injuries, and he wanted to go out on his own terms, which I fully respect. And yeah, and that was memorable because not only did I give him his last match, but I managed to kick him in the balls after. Yeah.
Okay, so now you're going to have to explain that. You can't just drop that in and not expect me to pick up on it. So you kicked him in the balls after?
Yeah, because
thanks for that, mate. That was an awesome match. Here's a kick in the balls.
we had our emotional moment. We had our hug, but at the end of the day, I'm going to be carrying on. I've chosen to be the king of couture. I've chosen to be this way. I'm not just going to drop it because it's somebody's last match. His career's done. Mine's only just starting. I'm 14 years in. I'm in my prime still.
So here's a kick in the balls. Thanks for that.
Exactly. I got to move on. I'm not going to change for anyone.
So what was your worst ever match? Was it one of
Worst?
your earlier ones when you was a little bit?
God, it really is a difficult one. I don't know, really. I really try to flush those sort of memories out of my mind. It's not too difficult nowadays. I take enough knocks. But worst match. Yeah, I mean, it's got to be earlier days. I used to be in a tag team. I used to be the happy, clappy, good guy. I used to wear rainbows and tassels and all that. And all I can say is I was inexperienced. You can't always read someone's body language. It's just a matter of, it's just a matter of experience, really. Knowing where you are in the ring awareness. And I mean, I can't pinpoint a certain match because, God, my memory won't let me.
Blocked it out. It's not coming back in.
Exactly. And, I see every so-called bad match. I always see them as a lesson learned. So, it's always about finding the silver lining in things.
Do you ever watch your matches back?
I do, but I hate doing it at the same time because, as I said earlier, I am my own worst critic, and I will be so bloody hard on myself, and I get fixated on mistakes I've made, and why I lost the match, and how could I make such a trip up, and I'll do the same with my most recent, of course. But I'm just thankful I was able to get through the rest of the match because, as I said, that dive happened early on in the match, and adrenaline's a hell of a thing. It really is, because I don't know how else I would have been able to do it.
Well,
And I mean, you know,
I mean,
I didn't get away unscathed. You know, I have my injury, but it only seemed to slow me down a little during the match. I'm genuinely surprised adrenaline is that powerful.
one of the best painkillers going, isn't it, really?
Yeah, I guess it's just that crowd, you know.
Until it wears off, and then the minute the adrenaline wears off, that's when it hits you, and it's
Oh,
like
I couldn't walk. I couldn't walk.
I still can't.
I tried walking. I really tried, because as I said, I thought it was just muscular pain, and you go, you know, try and walk through that. But God, I was wrong.
Bless your heart. So my next question is, can you name me your 3 all-time favorite wrestlers?
Oh God.
It's hard when you've only got to pick so many, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't know if I could narrow it down to 3, but because there's just so many different contexts. There's different reasons. I mean, first of all, I will go with who I got into the business because of. My very first favorite wrestler was Jeff Hardy. And it was Jeff Hardy because he just stood out so much. I loved the Hardy Boys, but Jeff Hardy, he stood out with his multicolored hair, his different personality. He was like an artist in the ring. He was the high fly. He was the daredevil. And he's probably the reason I got this injury, I guess, in a way. But no, I'm not going to put that on him. That's my own stupid fault. But yeah, Jeff Hardy was the reason I got into wrestling. You know, it was around 1999, 2000 sort of time I started watching wrestling, and you know, the Hardys would have been in their prime, and the fact that he's still going nowadays is amazing. And I'm happy to still see him on TV. Another person I look up to is Flying Brian Pillman. I actually used to be called Flying O'Brien, you know, sort of in dedication to him, sort of in tribute. Unfortunately, I wish I got to see more of Brian Pillman's work. Unfortunately, he passed in, I believe it was 1997. But his talent was ahead of its time. It really was. Like the light heavyweight, cruiserweight style that we see nowadays, it wouldn't, you know, he was one of the original light heavyweights. He was one of the original flyers, hence the name. But also, Dean Malenko, I would say, is definitely up there. As I said, I can't narrow this down to 3. It's so difficult, but
it's really hard.
Yeah, but I absolutely love Dean Malenko for his technical style. It allowed me to, you know, sort of fall in love with the British style of wrestling. All the different locks and holds, the submissions, the way you can bend someone's body in different ways and lock them off in different ways. I fell in love with that, and it's actually given me more of a unique advantage, because technical wrestling is so creative that people undermine it so much. People see people do wrestlers doing flips off the top rope and doing all of these sort of lucha libre spots, but you got to go with what makes your country and your wrestling style special, because it worked back in the day, and I think it's actually making a comeback.
Yeah.
You know, so my high flying sort of side, that's Brian Pillman, Jeff Hardy. My technical side is yeah, Dean Malenko. There's too many to name, really. Steven Regal, for example. And with, you know, all of these sessions at the gym, I'm just looking to build my way back up into that heavyweight division. I mean, obviously, my foot's going to be a bit of a setback. I'm, going to lose a bit of weight. I'm going to lose a bit of muscle. But, I just got to keep fighting once I'm back.
I'm sure it won't take you long to get back.
No, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. I got at least 6 weeks. So, if anything, that's dangerous. You don't want to give me rest time.
You're going to be going insane sat there, aren't you?
Yeah, that, and I won't give myself the time to rest. So I'm being forced into rest, and I'm going to come back better than ever.
You're going to have to make sure you do rest, though. Please make sure that you take it easy on.
I will. I've got no choice now. They've buckled up my foot, so I'm not going anywhere. Unfortunately.
Maybe they should have put cast on it, so at least then you can't take it off.
Yeah, true. I get you.
So one more question just before I let you go, because obviously we've been waffling for nearly 50 minutes now. So if you could wrestle anybody out of the LWP roster other than Arcadius, because I'm sure that will come.
It's coming.
As long as he keeps hold of the belt.
Good point. So but I'm sure it will happen again. I need to get my win back.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. So if you could take on anybody out of the LWP roster, who would it be and why?
I would have to say, first of all, it's got to be Aaron Sharp. It's got to be. We've got a history. We've travelled Germany together. We've travelled England together. He has all my respect. But
bearing in mind, I do these podcasts so I can create a little bit of friction here and there. So why is he gobby?
Well, the fact is, I've never actually beaten him.
Oh, really?
And that drives me nuts. He's been a mate with me in the past, but I can't let that go. It's going to become my fixation. It's going to become my obsession. But I am definitely coming for you, Aaron Sharp.
So Aaron,
someday, whether it's for a championship or not, I don't care. I'm facing you and I'm beating you.
Anybody else on the hit list?
I gotta say, is probably a dark horse in this situation, but I've been watching him, and I gotta say James Bentley. Ooh. James Bentley, the newcomer's really, he's caught my eye. He's doing really well. He's got to keep it up. I mean, form an ego or not, I don't care about that. I'm sure I'll beat it out of him. James Bentley is impressive young man, and humble as ever. He's already gone to Germany as well. But yeah, he's definitely on the hit list. CW Davies, just because the phenomenal shape he's in, he's absolutely amazing in the ring. The inaugural LWP champion, that's high on the rankings, and I'm looking to make an impact.
So literally, you want the hard hitters.
I want the best. Yeah. I want the best that LWP has to offer. Because why else would I be here?
I'll be there.
Why else would I be here? I don't want to, I don't want to beat up someone training for a ref position,
Well, I think our ref anyway, Tracy, the head ref, to be honest, I think she could take anybody on that one.
I wouldn't hit a woman though. I'm a gentleman that way,
That's always a bonus. Brad, thank you so much for joining me tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I am once again gutted that you're not going to be with us on Saturday, but I really hope you do rest and you recover quickly, my lovely.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Thank you so much. I'm absolutely gutted I don't get to see everyone in person. I'm gutted I don't get my shot yet. But as I say, once I'm back, I'm going to be better than ever. I seriously promise it.
Can't wait.
All right.
So everybody that's joined us tonight, thank you so much for joining us. I will be back again next week. Depending what happens on Saturday night, there might be the odd 1 or 2 lives, but we'll see. If not, I will see you next Friday. Thank you for joining us, everybody, and I will see you next week.